Hello everyone, I am your host, The Unyielding. We are back today with Masterclass episode 4, which is going to be on the Dragoon. So, I know it might have been a while since I uploaded last. I think last time we left off on Reaper. I know I had uploaded a video before on the Dragoon, but I decided, hey, we'll rework it. I just deleted the old one, so we'll go ahead and start up new with a fresh video here. Got my headphones on this time, so hopefully you should be talking a little louder in this episode, but we'll try and get right to it just so that you guys can get a good grasp of what the class is all about. So, starting off, see we got the Dragoon, swift and fearless master of pole-arm combat. Like I was saying, these titles usually go hand in hand with how the class actually plays. You see you got your medium play difficulty. This is a pretty, it can be difficult at times to learn how to get Dragoon down, especially with its size, but honestly, once you get it down, it's an incredibly fun and versatile class. So, as it says here, combines range, speed, and power. You get the range from just the length of your staff here. You're able to reach from far away. Typically get some quick opening attacks. You got your speed. As you can see, weapon is very fast, even spins. Swing speed with this will usually end up being faster, slower than Duelist and Samurai, but it's kind of a good middle ground between Duelist and Knight. Power, it does do very good damage, so like I was saying, very versatile. What you'll see here, the weapon is referred both to as a tri-bladed glaive and as a trident in the game. Usually you'll see it referred to as tri-glaive or just the glaive, but you can call it by any one of those names. Of course, on offhand you have a parrying dagger as well. It's a smaller version of this, just offhand support. Kind of think of it like Duelist, where you just have to hit it and then it'll recharge. So, doesn't do a lot of damage, very low damage, but range attack's very good with it. This elite fighter is versatile enough to conquer any foe. Like I was saying, very, very versatile class. So we'll just go right here into training mode and get started. So, first starting off with Dragoon, we're going to go right into the range attack. This is something I see a lot of newer players struggling with, especially when first starting Dragoon. They'll usually expect it to be somewhere in the front of the weapon for that range attack, and they might get the parrying dagger. That one's pretty close, but what you'll see here is that when you hold down the trigger, you get a line coming out of the center of your parrying dagger. This here is where your range attack comes out of. All you have to do, push forwards, and you will spawn a dagger that just gets thrown right at your opponent. As you can see, very, very low energy cost, so this is actually incredibly cost effective most of the time. So you can really just throw this range attack out, and you see it's not really doing much of anything, given we are in training, so it's probably not using as much energy, but still very cheap, low damage range attack option. Most of the time you'll either see them thrown out horizontally or vertically, usually in small bursts, or paired in tandem with your glaive. For your glaive's range attack, you'll see it's on the bottom when you hold the trigger. Same concept, you just push forwards and it'll throw a glaive. As you can see, it does a very good amount of damage, similar to Monk's bow. Especially when hitting on the head, you can get about 400 damage shots off, which, as you know, is pretty huge damage, especially for a range attack. Usually you'll also see these done in pairs, so usually about 1 or 2 is where you'll see them come in. Of course, you can use both at the same time, throw out a bunch. Some good patterns you can use for these range attacks are usually a 1, 2, 3. So what I like to do is, as you can see there, I like to target 3 different sections of the body. So I like to go for shoulder to legs, or maybe throwing a glaive to the head and the legs, and throwing a dagger somewhere around the middle or the side. You see it kind of just spreads the damage out, makes them a little more confusing to block. Another way people do it, you can also go high with these range attacks. This actually seems to hit a lot more somehow. I'm not sure exactly why, but you'll see them hit a lot more when you go up high, just to going down. But most of the time, just using that parry dagger should be effective at stopping your opponent's energy regen. Moving on to the other parts of the class here. We'll just start on the offense, because this is usually the big part of Dragoon. There's a lot you can do with Dragoon offense. There are a lot of different play styles you can adopt. There's a lot of unique moves that Dragoon has that's typically just unique to itself, and honestly, it just makes it such an incredibly fun class to play. So what we'll start off on is just your normal Dragoon attacks here. As you can see, the glaive reaches pretty far past them, so most of your hits will always end up connecting with your opponent here. As with most of the other classes, this is a bladed class, so remember, you want to cut the air, not fan it. The glaive will move faster when you have proper edge alignment here. This doesn't apply as much to this parry dagger, so you really don't need to worry about it. Parry daggers kind of just move it wherever. Usually you want to give it the most surface area on defense like this, but for offense, really, you just need to worry about the glaive. So we'll turn on unlimited energy here. Most of what you'll see with Dragoon is more or less synonymous with your other bladed classes, which is just going to be your classic figure eights, you know, just your repeated attacks. Of course, you can do these any direction. Other side of the body there. And this will actually be fairly similar to the Duelists figure eights. Fairly similar movements on both of them. So you can use just about the same way you play Duelist. As far as the other ways you can attack go, feinting is very powerful with Dragoon. Even though it has this very long staff, it is incredibly nimble. You can move the staff like just about anywhere, like in a fraction of a second. It's really honestly amazing. Because you can move from up here to down here, and I mean, just get around people's guards like crazy. So, wobbles, fairly strong with Dragoon. Something I like to do, especially if you're comboing or you're in the middle of a combo, kind of just bring it right when it's about here. You can bump it up and bring it back to the head. So we just pause. And what this will do is when they're defending, it'll give them a kind of gap while they're defending, so they'll move their weapon out of the way, getting ready to refresh. But as you can see, when you go 1, 2, 3, kind of wait a sec, and then bob back up, the way it looks might go about here, but once you bob up, it goes very quick and you're just able to get past the guard there. Other feints, you know, you've got your usual overheads, your little soft feints here, so you can just kind of wobble it either side. Now work most of the time. Of course, Dragoon also has Voodoo, as it is one of those bladed classes, so if you know that little Voodoo motion there, you're just able to get pretty fast chained hits off. This works both any direction, so, you know, diagonally. Most of the time you'll see it done either vertically or horizontally, but I found that sometimes getting the head and the shoulders is usually the fastest refresh. Like kind of right under this shoulder, kind of by the armpit of the armor, and then right at the top of the head is where I find most of the Voodoo is pretty easy to hit. Another feint you can do on defense, I might not be able to demonstrate it perfectly here since it is against a bot, but when you are attacking your opponent, let's say you're just doing something like this, what you can do is bring the glaive, like let's say this is just your normal attacking range, bring it closer to yourself, so while they're either doing their standing or hanging guard, what you do is you bring the glaive around that and then hit them. So you normally would have just kept spinning and you would have hit their sword or whatever they're using here. All you do, take a little step back, pull your glaive back, literally just move it around and hit them on the other side. And then you can start chaining combos off from there. Very good way to get around defense. I like to throw it in usually while I'm doing voodoo, so it's just same doing voodoo, step back, pull, and bring it around again is usually pretty good. Other things you can also do, kind of do it from the top, bring it down and poke. That's usually a good one. Come back down and poke down towards the chest. That ends up getting hits sometimes. Before I go into the unique stuff, because I do like to pommel bash a bit with Dragoon, but it's not very popular and it's a little bit tricky to learn, so we'll move to the openers and cover that at the end for some unique stuff Dragoon has. For your openers are very, very big on Dragoon. Because of Dragoon's reach, what you can achieve with it is very early attacks. So let's say I want to rush in on them. I'm able to bring that glaive like to my opponent way closer than I would be with like Duelist or anything. I'm able to get very early melee attacks, and of course this is against a bot, so it's going to space evenly, but had I been fighting a typical person, that would have connected there. So the opening melee attacks on these, the way it works is you need to start attacking kind of during your rush. You see I pull there, and like half a second after I start my attack. The reason for that is you see I start moving, but during that movement phase, I still retain some of my momentum from before I was over there. So pull, and it's a lot faster coming down. Good ways you can use this, from what I've found, is just extending your arm all the way out on your opening. Usually trying to go for a headshot or something sneaky at the legs is the best ones that I've found. Other things you can do, you can just twist and thrust. Thrusts are very good with Dragoon openers since it kind of just, it's a spear, so just push it out. You can already see it's got a couple players worth of distance just between that, so you can stand all the way back here. You might be able to get something, but so just moving forwards, you're able to get some pretty good early hits off. Some of the not the finishers, but the openers that I like typically roll with, just hold here and kind of twist the weapon as you come in. So what that consists of is just bringing it over and turning your wrist, so like this, and then thrust out. So kind of as you're making that motion, you thrust in. And that'll build up some momentum and bring it forwards. So you'll get a little more damage. And you can do that to any part of the body, honestly. You can hold it anywhere. Just do the same motion. Another thing that's good with Dragoon speed is you can come in and then feint around the defense as well. So let's say I'm just over here. You see I can get to the other side of their guard there very quick. So I can just swing around and hit somewhere they wouldn't really be expecting to be hit by, because, the glaive's over here, they're seeing it all the way over here, they're going to assume an attack's coming from this side, but if you come in, just bring it in real quick like that, it's pretty good open. We'll move on here to the little pommel bashing I was talking about earlier. We'll just cover it quickly, because it's not really too important, but when you hit someone like that, you see it refreshes about here. What you can do is step forward a little and just push forwards with the pommel after you've done hitting them. You can see you can just smack them with the pommel there. It works from any direction, so you can hit them like that, or like that, or you can hit them top to bottom. You can hit them left to bottom actually too. Or you can hit just about anywhere. As long as you can bring that back around here, all it is it kind of like, pretend you're swinging over, you know, you're swinging with not the true edge, but the false edge. Always make sure you swing with the false edge on just about every single weapon, as long as you're going into your dominant side. That'll, most of the time, guarantee you faster refreshes and easier access to follow-ups. So, as you're swinging in with that false edge, you kind of just let it kind of sit. Your hand should be about flat in like that kind of fist. And then you just push out. It'll be faster when this has momentum, because as you see, it pulls back and then it rocks. So as it rocks, it pushes out further forwards. So as it pushes out, you're able to get that hit. And this can get some pretty nice damage off, as you can just go overhead, and you see I get an extra 300 damage, which is literally the same as a torso hit, just getting it on the head as a free follow-up hit there. So that can get up to like 1,000 damage, or even more. It works especially well when your opponent is vulnerable, so if they have any of that kind of stained vulnerable health bar, then you are able to just pummel bash and get a little bit more of that damage off, because it'll equate to a lot more. As far as defense goes, we'll get them to attack here. It's more or less the same as all the bladed classes. You have your standing guard and your hanging guard, as well as your horizontal. What you may be tempted to do is to defend mostly with the parrying dagger, but that is not actually what you want to do. What you want to use mostly is the glaive. The glaive, if you can see this, that's the bottom. It covers more than the entirety of your body as far as height goes, so it covers your entire body automatically. What you really need to do is bring it side to side. And then your parry dagger, it's more supplementary, like I was saying, kind of like Duelist. You do need to refresh it after your opponent attacks, but most of what I've found is either standing or hanging is a good spot to be at, and then either use their parry dagger to knock their main weapon out, or use the parry dagger as kind of, like I was saying, supplementary defense. So if you have a spot you're weak in or you keep getting hit, use that parry dagger, just keep it there. And we'll actually go back here because I did want to cover usage of the parry dagger during offense. So usage of parry dagger, your parry dagger should always be moving during offense. If your parry dagger is not moving during offense, you're losing pressure, is all that's happening. Your parry dagger is actively getting rid of their weapon here, so it lets you come in with your spear. That's how you get past their guard, because it is slower than Duelist, but faster than Knight. So it is going to have a hard time getting past some guards if you are not actively focusing on using that parry dagger. So I'm just kind of applying pressure. Focus on their weapon, so maybe I'll turn on opponent defense just so you can get a better idea. We'll turn on Samurai right here so that we get a little bit of a better look. Just focus on that opponent weapon. Break past that guard and then come in with the glaive. And again, Dragoon does have that spinning, so you are able to get some pretty cool style points just by using it. A lot of cool spins you can do with it. I will say though, do not use spins on offense. I know you may be tempted to use either Monk or Dragoon. Just, you see the spin and you think that would be awesome on offense, but don't do it. Don't do it on offense, don't do it on defense. It is horrible strategy. It will get you killed probably immediately. Because what you can see, just by me spinning this, is much slower than if I were trying to do a normal attack. And let's say just spin it there. He just blocks it, because he knows where it's going to be. He knows where the glaive is going to be every time, and if you do it far enough out, there's a chance it doesn't even refresh, so there's not even a point to doing it. And if anything, it's going to hit you in the face, it's going to sap your energy, and take away the energy regen. But all in all, Dragoon, not the hardest class, but not the easiest class to play. It does take some time to master. It is a very fast-paced class that you'll need to have some kind of patience in learning and really focusing on getting that edge alignment down, as well as being a little bit of ambidextrous with your parry dagger here, so you're able to break past guards and also guard the attacks. Did want to also cover real quick just some offense for stuff like this. Since you've got two, you need to kind of block with both at the same time. Hold them close together, just so that you're able to block this effectively. Because Knight is one of Dragoon's biggest counters. It can get past its guard very easy if you're not using your parry dagger properly. As far as that, it should really cover all of Dragoon that needs to be covered, so might just get into some matches here and see what happens. So for the gameplay aspect, I'm going to go over a clip I had with Regnorts here. I believe he was a little bit laggy in this match, so honestly, any other day he probably would have won. I did end up winning this one. I'm not sure by how much. We can check real quick actually. Not by a lot, so it was a very close match, but I'm fairly sure he was pretty laggy this day. So we're just going to go over it with a little bit of small handheld camera here, so we can see exactly what's going on. And what we're really going to do is just kind of go over what I was doing. So as you saw in the beginning right there, what I went for was, like I was saying, one of those large opening attacks. I missed it, like I did a couple times before. Kind of was a little close, but after that you can see went in for one low and one high hit. Went low again, high again, and tried to feint around there, but his sword was very close. I kind of feinted there and pulled back to get past his guard. He was kind of angled. And as you can see there, that's the feint I was trying to do that worked, where it feinted past and slashed back down. Now coming in, my defense was fairly weak here, to be honest. Knight, especially with its feints, can get past that parry dagger pretty easy. I'm trying to keep my parry dagger close to my glaive here, but honestly, I was missing some of those blocks pretty bad. As you can see, getting hit for a lot of chip damage there by the Knight. You see we both charged up there, but he was trying to capitalize on my energy here. As you can see, went in for a wide feint. Started at the high in the back and ended up feinting around the side here. This works especially well in these heavier classes. As you see, he tried to bump it up here to block, but going around that entirely, hitting the shoulder. Kind of just, when I have this little energy, you see I went in and just circled once and just ended up using Voodoo for the rest of this small chain. It was about 3 hits, but with this little energy, Voodoo really is your only way to guarantee that you might get something off. As you can see here, pressuring with that range attack, kind of threatening the possibility of having a range attack come out. Throw 2 that miss entirely. Threatening again here with both, so he's forced to respond with his own range attack. He comes in first. I'm not exactly prepared to block it, but if you can watch here how I move, you see as soon as he moves, I move. What that does, it brings you further back, kind of misguides their thoughts on where you are, their distance management by backing up. You can see he's cycling a lot under a jump over that one attack. So here, I charge up a little, I got a full bar of energy, so I go in. See, trying to cycle a lot of those lower hits coming to the legs. And it's just kind of conditioning him so he's able to get hit more easily from the other sides. See, I'm throwing out a lot of those kind of soft, like, waiting feints, where I'm just kind of taking a minute, threw out a pommel bash here. I wasn't actually expecting myself to throw one out this match, but it looks like I came around and pommel bashed the other side where he was kind of open. That's one of the good things about pommel bashing. If they have a pretty solid defense and you can't get around it, you can just cycle over and like pommel bash into it. You see, I'm trying to put some pressure on him because he's got a lot of energy regen, but I'm not really getting much off of it there. You can see, again, trying to keep my guard fairly close. And it's working for the most part, but again, that knight chip damage does a lot. And you really do want to focus on getting most of those hits to happen on the legs and torso, because if you get headshot, it's basically game over. So I got a little bit of a health disadvantage here. My energy's high enough to where I'll just say screw it, we'll charge up a little. Fainted a little on that opening, but get a little anti-parry on my end. Feint around to that shoulder there. Feint and go back onto the torso. So kind of cycling through there. I tried to feint and slash, but he had a little bit too much space between me there. He charges up, goes in. It's really getting down to the last stretch of the match here, so we're going to see a lot shorter strings of attacks, but with more meaning behind them. See, I'm threatening energy here, and I hit him once, which is very good because it slowed down his energy regen by a ton. That one parry dagger is honestly probably why I won the match. If I did not hit that, I honestly would have lost this entire match. Because you see his energy's not high enough to really profit off of much of anything, so I just tuck tail and kind of hope for the best while defending. See, charge up the rest, I've got about a full bar on what he had about a fourth. So, kind of cycle those low attacks, kind of condition him into opening his upper guard up. Again, hit those low attacks, they're hitting for a lot more now. Now he's got more of those hits, and just cycle it off with a good slash to the chest there. So, all in all, that was a pretty good match. Hopefully, this video might have given you guys a little bit of knowledge about Dragoon. It's one of my favorite classes. I'm hoping it might be some of you guys' favorites after watching and trying it out for yourselves. Hopefully I'll come out with a couple more Masterclass videos in the future. We'll just have to see how this one does and if it's well received or not, and we'll find out after that. But again, thank you for watching. I'm your host, The Unyielding. Until next time.